Hey everybody, and welcome to a new video where we're talking about futures trading, and specifically we're talking about real-time data. Now in this video, I'm just going to be breaking down a few points about data providers. We're going to be looking at what exactly is out there as far as our options. I want to cover what is the top tier and what is just the best data provider that money can buy. And then I want to talk about the one that I'm currently using. Spoiler alert, it is not the best one out there. But in this video, I'll break down and explain why exactly I'm using the provider I use and why I stopped using the best one out there. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, just by way of introduction, when it comes to the futures market, you need access to real-time data. And this is something that you're just gonna have to pay for. Unlike a market maybe like Forex, where you can just pull up your charts, go to TradingView, type in a pairing that you wanna look up, you can pull up that chart and have access to real-time data, what's going on. Maybe more accurately to say, kinda real-time and kinda what's going on. But that's a topic for a different video. When it comes to futures, you can't do this. If you were to search on TradingView and just pull up the S&P 500 and to try to find the futures contract, the ES, what you would pull up is a populated chart with data, but it wouldn't be in real time. It would be delayed. If you want access to real-time data, you have to pay for it. At some level, I'm sure that sounds like a negative thing and something that would deter you from wanting to trade futures. But I can assure you, this is a huge positive. When it comes to the futures market and what we get with accessing that real-time data and the quality of products compared to something like the Forex market, it makes paying for the data worth every penny. Now, if we're talking about data providers out there, specifically real-time data for futures, there are a suspect amount of options. And it's such a niche thing. I have no idea why there's so many people that do it, but there are a lot. A lot of these you will never hear of. I've never heard of unless I'm specifically trying to find this out. But there's a lot of options out there. Now, of all the data providers, we could really break them down into three categories. There's like this huge section of obscure providers that you will never use, you have never heard of, I've never heard of, and I don't know why they exist, but they're out there. Then there's kind of a much smaller group of just mainstream options. And there's a very good chance if you're watching this video right now and you're actively trading, or if you have a live account, you're using one of these options, or maybe you've used them in the past, or if you were to sign up and join a live account right now, you would probably start off with using one of these. Of all the kind of mainstream options, we're talking Rithmic, CQG, interactive brokers. Those are probably the most popular. There might be a couple other options, but there's like this small group of just really mainstream popular ones that you're probably using right now, or you probably would be using. And then there's a step above these other categories, and this is just top tier data, and this is really just the best of the best. And when it comes to futures data, real-time data, and just talking about the best out there, the best in the business, we're talking about DTN IQ data feed. The IQ data feed is for sure just the best that you can get. Now there's a handful of reasons why the IQ data feed is the best, breaking down to the way that they control their data, to some of the technology and the actual infrastructure that they have in place. When you're accessing IQ data feed, you're getting access to a very pure, unfiltered, unadulterated, tick-by-tick stream of data. They're very good, and I used to use DTN, the IQ data feed, in the past, and I stopped using them at a certain point because they are excellent, but they are very proud of their data. And it was very, very expensive. To give you a little bit of context, this is important. I was also very scattered in my trading, and I was using multiple different systems, and I was trying to trade multiple different markets. I had this insane schedule I was doing in the early years where I would try to start trading around 9 o'clock at night and be there for the open of the Asian session. And then I would trade for a while, crash, I would wake up around 3 a.m. and try to trade the beginning of the European session. I would crash, I would wake up for the US session and the close of the European session, crash again, wake up for the close of the US. It was insane and it didn't last long because it was a stupid idea, but I needed access to a lot of different markets. And when we're talking about data for the futures market, it's a la carte, where there's a lot of things out there and you pick and choose what you need access to and you pay for that. So I was very spread out and I was paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month for the access that I had to my data. So there came a point in just my trading in general where I was so scattered and I was so spread out and I wasn't making any money, I was losing money, that I pulled everything back and I just scaled back. I made everything more simple, I cleaned up my charts, I lost all my indicators, scaled back on the amount of products I was trading, I focused only on the S&P 500, and through all of this pruning and purging that I did, I cut down my data cost from the hundreds of dollars that I was paying to $15 a month by switching. So I cut it down to a really nominal amount, and that's originally why I left the IQ data feed. Now, my personal story aside, the DTN IQ data feed is still the best. They're still excellent, and they do offer a free trial. So you can go check them out, and if you're silver spoon cool, you can even keep on using them, because they're a great product. Now, the one that I'm currently using is CQG. It's very popular. It's one of the mainstream options. And when I stopped using DTN, I actually switched and CQG was the next data provider that I was using. As the years went on, for one reason or another, switching brokers, switching things around. I have used Rithmic, I have used Interactive Brokers. I've pretty much had access to every data package that's available outside of the real obscure ones that we've never heard about. And having tried all of these just kind of as fate would have it, for no particular reason, I've circled back around and I'm currently still using CQG right through to today. Now, I think this will be important. I wanted to address the current package that I'm using because it's something that gets asked. And then I also just wanted to specifically drill into the best package that is available. And the reason why I've never gone back and why I still use CQG and I've never upgraded again to the DTN is my experience with this after trying a lot of different data packages is I've never really noticed a difference. There's never been a time where I left IQ and I pulled up a different data package and just realized that I was suffering. There was never a time where I went from Rithmic to CQG again or vice versa and just had problems with slippage or problems with fills or any type of noticeable difference in my trading experience. I've definitely never done like a scientific testing or really drilled into maybe some of the minutia that would make more sense. But from my experience, just trading it day in day, I've never really noticed a difference between data packages. And that's why I've never gone back to DTN. And I know I've at least heard tons of people over the years be very opinionated about the data that you're using. And in all reality, accessing data, having good tick-to-tick data, and not having issues with slippage or your data going offline is extremely important. But it has been my experience and it's never been an issue regardless of what provider that I've ever used. And so at the end of the day, it might just be that I don't drill in close enough in my personal trading, or maybe I don't use enough size, or maybe there's a specific reason on why it's never affected me. And maybe if you really drill in for high frequency type scalping, or if you're using really large size, maybe these differences would really start to surface. But for what I do and what I've been doing for years, it's just never really been an issue. So I stick with CQG. And maybe there will come a day when I go back to IQ, but as of right now, they're perfectly fine and they're definitely good. And I've never had an issue, as I've said, with slippage or with things going offline. It's always been, really great. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to talk briefly about what's out there for data and specifically bring up what is the best out there. So you can go check them out if for some reason you're not aware of them. Like I said, you can use a free trial and see if maybe your experience is different. And then I wanted to talk just about the one that I'm using now. And then I'm by no means a super loyal fan of them. I have no issues with them at all. But if something happened and I had to switch to a different provider, there'd be no love lost. I would just do it. And I couldn't see it affecting my trading at all. I would be really interested to hear about y'all's experience if you are using a data provider right now that you've had issues with or that you've had a good experience with. And specifically, just let me know if you have a strong opinion about this for one reason or the other, because I would really be interested to know maybe I need to broaden my horizons on this. Okay, that's it for this video. Let's all hit the like button on the way out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.